Why is the Chapter 1 map truly the best map? Now, it's been a couple of days since the OG Fortnite season launched, and we've had a little bit of time to actually get used to and reaccustomed to all the different things on the Chapter 1 map. In today's video, I want to go over all the different things that actually make this map really viable, not only for casual players, but also for competitive, and all the different things that make these POIs on this map extremely good. I hope you guys really enjoy this video. This is going to be kind of a rant on me explaining exactly why I think we should have a similar, if not the exact same map for the next couple of seasons. Let's hop right into it. Now let's start off, guys, with going over the obvious elephant in the room. This map is nostalgic. This map is something that makes us feel at home and makes us feel like we're kids again. A lot of times when people started playing Fortnite, they were younger, they were kids, and they were able to actually experience it, and it has really good connections with their childhood. Now, of course, that is obviously something that's important to this map. However, putting that to the side, I really want to go into what I genuinely believe makes this map so good. Now let's start off with the first really big factor. That's going to be the overall amount of loot and POIs on this map. Within the Chapter 1 Season 5 map, every single POI is very close together. Nothing really feels empty. There's no really empty space other than the fact that we don't really have too much mobility in the season. However, that's going to change, and obviously once we add mobility, this map's really easy to traverse. Almost every 500 meters is a brand new POI. Literally, we have Junk Junction, Haunted Hills right next to each other. Really close to those two POIs, there's going to be Pleasant Park. Snobby Shores is really close to the Viking Village, which is really close to the soccer field, which is really close to Greasy Groves and Shifty, which is also very close to Tilted and Loot Lake. Every single POI on this map has a very notable presence, and every smaller, lesser major POI also has a very notable presence. Just to name a few, there's going to be Crates, there's going to be Motel, the soccer field, of course, Viking Village, Yonder Yard. There's going to be plenty of smaller POIs that are extremely viable. It's not going to be like the other seasons where there's a bunch of small, miscellaneous, irrelevant POIs with not too many chests and not too many attributes. This map feels a lot smaller and more tightly knit than the other maps that we've had. That's why I think this map is super good. Now, the sheer volume of POIs on this map also means that there's not going to be just one POI that's way too over contested. Obviously, yes, Tilted and the other major POIs like Pleasant and Retail are going to be more contested than others. However, it's not like every single player is landing at this one POI like it was in some previous seasons. For example, in Chapter 4, everybody was landing Mega City for a small period of time. Then everybody was landing Relentless Retreat, maybe the other mythic POIs. The only season to really change that was Chapter 2 Season 2, in which there were multiple mythic POIs with a bunch of different benefits, and regardless of where the bus path was going, a lot of people would split up amongst them. This is kind of like that, except there's so many different POIs and so many different places for people to land. That's what makes this map really viable for competitive, is that there's not going to be too much over contestation, especially in tournaments. So you can land pretty much wherever you want to without really suffering too many consequences of being over contested. Now, moving past the benefit of the map being kind of closely knit together and there being plenty of different places for you guys to land, I also want to go into generally why I think that this map has some of the best materials out of any map we've ever had. Now, without a doubt, this is the easiest it's ever been to get max materials on any map ever. There's literally unlimited wood, there's infinite trees around the area, there's Wailing, there's Lonely, there's tons of places for you guys to go in order to get wood. Brick is also really easy. There's tons of rocks, the whole Paradise biome that has tons of different sand rocks. There's a bunch of things you guys can farm in order to get brick. Walls are there. There's a bunch of different buildings and POIs with brick. And of course, the most scarce material on the other maps we've had is going to be metal. However, on this map, the thing that really changes it, guys, is the fact that there's no drivable cars. There's going to just be simple cars that you can farm and then get tons of metal from. Each car gives you around 40 to 50 metal, and that's an absolutely insane amount considering the sheer volume of cars that we have. Every single POI, Salty, Retail, Tilted, Greasy, Pleasant, Risky, all these places have tons of metal cars. That's going to be a ton of metal for the players to actually use in the game. That's an absolutely huge benefit, not only for casual players, but also for competitive, considering how important metal is as a competitive material. I think that that's one of the biggest things that makes this map really viable for competitive, the fact that we have tons of metal and a ton of mats in general. So nobody's really going to be low on mats at any point in the game, and refarming really won't be that hard if you guys position yourself at the right spot. And then also, guys, I think the fact that we have a bunch of different places, but they're all really balanced in materials is really good. For example, guys, the best place in my opinion to get all of the different materials in one small area is definitely going to be Crates. Crates is obviously going to have tons of metal from all of the metal crates around the area. There's going to be tons of brick because there's rocks, and then there's the brick walls, of course, in the crates area. And then there's trees literally right outside this POI, so you can farm max wood really quickly without any issues. Pretty much every POI is like that, except on a smaller and larger scale, and I think it's a really viable way to actually play and compete in this game. That being the fact that there's tons of mats for everybody to use, and there's not really going to be any mat scarcity under any circumstances. Now, my third primary reason for why I think that this map is so good is going to be the fact that there's so many different chest areas and there's not too many wasted spots or oversaturated chest spots. I'm going to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about here because that may have been a little bit confusing. So I'm going to take the example of Westworld, which was that little POI, which was that little Adobe town. This is where Tfue used to land quite a bit. In Westworld, there's going to be 18 chests in a very small amount of area. Now, yes, that's tons of chests for such a small POI, and that's an example of chest oversaturation. Basically, there's going to be tons of chests in a POI where not too many people are going to be landing. As a counterexample, there's going to be Salty Springs. Salty Springs has 15 chests in its POI area. 15 chests is perfect. Let's estimate around 3 chests per house. Considering that there are 5 major houses, that's a pretty good average. Now, the fact that each house has 3 chests makes sure that it's an adequate place for anybody to land if you're playing solos. Yes, if you're playing team game modes, it's a little bit more different. This map is a little bit more engineered towards solos. However, I still think it's viable for a team game mode considering the amount of floor spawns that you have. Yes, there is obviously an inherent issue nowadays with the amount of shield that's on the map. Obviously, people are struggling to get shield, especially from chests. Is not as common as it once was. But apart from that issue, which I think Epic Games will fix very soon, I think the fact that we have the amount of chests in the right places is a very important fact on this map. Every single POI feels perfectly full with the right amount of chests for the whole lobby. Nobody's really running around with no loot whatsoever. Everybody has a gun, and also everybody has the chance to actually have a very good loadout. There's no such thing as chest oversaturation, which once again is too many chests being in a place where not too many people are. Everything's very well spread out. And to cap that section off, I just genuinely want to say there's tons of small shacks and houses and buildings and places where you can go that are going to have a good amount of chests for you, or if you're playing duos, there's plenty of places where you guys can go in order to just get 1, maybe even 2 chests. Tons of shacks, small houses, small little areas that actually mean something. It's not kind of the irrelevant just kind of shack out in the open or kind of just chest sitting behind a rock that it was in the other chapters. It's a very meaningful map in a place with a lot of purpose. Now, I want to kind of take that whole rant and just summarize it into this small little section for you guys. This map is genuinely a really well utilized map. It has tons of metal, a really good amount of space in between each POI, and tons of chests that are spaced out very well. Every single POI within this map is extremely meaningful. It has its own purpose. People land there regardless of how far it is from this center of the map. And I still think that this map is the best one we've ever had, and I think Fortnite Competitive should definitely take the notes that we like from this map and implement them into the Chapter 5 map and beyond. That's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.